This is Brian Anderson, and after count 'em, 2 Tommy John surgeries, this is my quest to get back to the big leagues.
Down on 3 pitches, second strikeout for Brian Anderson.
I remember when he was in Little League, and I remember the day that I saw him pitching on the mound. I remember looking out over the parking lot and I thought, you know what? Someday he's going to pitch in the big leagues. I just thought he would.
We would throw games, play games, and he would pitch to me, and if he would walk, you know, throw 4 balls, that'd be a run for me.
We would play outs based on the trajectory of the ball.
And I would throw to him. You know, we're talking little guys.
And then switch sides, flip teams, and I would be the other team. And I mean, this went on all the time. I just loved to do it, and turned out that I was pretty good at it.
All I wanted him to do initially was just, if you're going to play baseball, look like a baseball player. If you're 2 years old, 5, whatever, wind up and throw a baseball like a baseball. Don't throw like a girl, but just wind up. So we played with that. Not worked at it, we played with it.
And so Little League, it was just playing and taking all that fun by yourself out in the country and putting it out on the field with all your friends.
So as he got up into Little League, we played more, and I just said, Brian, just be a good Little Leaguer, to myself. You know, play Little League. Then he just kept going, and he got into high school. Just be a good high school player. Made All-State, same day of graduation. They were going to have a tournament in Columbus. I think that was the first time that we gave him a choice. You could either go to graduation, or if you want to go to Columbus and play in a tournament. So obviously he went to Columbus and played in a tournament. Didn't even physically graduate with this class.
It came down for me, it was going to be Wright State or Kent. It was good times though. Wright State was a great place. It treated me well, and you know, opportunity was there, and I was able to take advantage of it and come out with a lot of good teammates and a lot of good friends along the way, and get where I wanted to go. It's out of my hands. There's nothing I can do. I've done my part. Now, if somebody wants me, they know my number. You know, it's one of those kind of things. And sure enough, the Angels called about 1:15.
He'd come out of the bullpen in Toronto, his first appearance.
So the gate opened up and I saw this kid run out on the field, and I recognized, of course, the run. It was Brian. I thought I was going to die.
The only thing that was going through my mind was don't trip.
I grabbed Jim. I really thought that you could hear my heart pounding. I was so scared.
She said, Brian's coming in. Well, it's against Toronto. They're the world champs.
But he got on the mound and he did well. He did very well for being the first, for just being out of college.
If I would have had a loose shirt or something on, you could have seen it moving. My heart was beating out of my chest. I thought I was going to die. Maybe a lot of parents have wondered or whatever, but never entered my mind when he was playing. I just wanted him to be good at whatever he did.
It was the coldest World Series game in history, in the history of baseball. And I mean, it was cold. It was snowing during batting practice.
Obviously, the excitement in town was, you know, unbelievable for the World Series.
I remember that my fingers in the last inning were numb. The tips of my fingers were numb. And the last batter that I faced that game, 2 outs in the 9th, threw him a changeup, and guy hit a top to ground ball right back to me. And I remember bending over and fielding it and turning and thinking to myself, throw it as hard as you can, just be firm and throw the crap out of it, because this ball, honest to goodness, I have no idea where it could end up.
Check swing roller, Anderson.
best 2 out of 3. The coldest game in World Series history goes to Mike Hargrove's Indians.
I think everybody in Cleveland thought that the Marlins will win this no problem. Obviously, they were a little tougher than most people thought.
So obviously you can imagine how devastating that loss was. And then to just add insult to injury, you know, a couple weeks later, I'm headed out to the desert and I'm going to be wearing purple. I remember Bob Brenly came up to me and saddled up to me in the outfield during batting practice, and he looked over at me and said, "How would you like to start Game 3 in Yankee Stadium?" And I'm looking like, okay, who's standing next to me? There's got to be someone standing next to me. You're talking to me? We're up 2-0. We're going back to New York, facing Clemens. You're talking about getting the team's best shot. That was it. That was their season. And I lost 2-1. And then Luis Gonzalez, you know, gets the base hit.
Center field, the Diamondbacks are world champions.
I remember that I ended up on the infield dirt, and I don't even remember how I got there that night. I mean, it was like, I don't remember my feet hitting the ground and just mauling, and here we are, you know, world champs. One of those things you always dream about, winning a world championship. But then after that, you know, then you're like, wow, we get a ring for this, you know. And then as it came down, you know, then they offer, you can buy pieces of jewelry for your family. And they said you can get one other ring, you know, that is the ring, you know, for, you know, whoever you know, would want to give it to. And that was, I mean, that was easy. I mean, why not Dad? I mean, Dad, he was there from the beginning. I mean, we were the ones that were out in the yard, you know, throwing the ball around when I was, you know, yay big, so that was a no-brainer.
That ring means everything, you know. I mean, it means different things to different guys, but to the right kind of player, it means everything. To the player who's playing the game for the right reasons.
It was pretty neat that he thought that much of me to get me that.
I left there and was driving home thinking to myself, that was the day to have the scouts there, because that was a good day. The guy ran out, you know, his camera, you know, the little memory card was full, couldn't find a new one. We were there forever taking pictures of me like talking and pointing, and you put 2 in the opening. I saw them. You put 2 in the opening. In fact, one of them you split me right in half. I should charge by the hour. If you don't love it and don't want it more than anything in your life right now, then you can't go through the rehab process and get yourself ready to throw for, you know, big league scouts who are going to come in and expect to see a big league pitcher. That's the only way you're going to get invited to camp. You don't go through that process unless you've got one singular goal and you're putting every bit of resource that you have into that.
The way it ended, the way it came to a stop, was not his choice, you know. So I think that's got to be something that eats at him a little bit, or more than a little bit, I should say, because you know, he didn't have the opportunity to decide when it ends. It was something that just kind of happened over time with the elbow, and next thing you know, you're on a surgeon's table, and then you know you're rehabbing for what seems like an eternity. So I think he's really eager to get back out there.
If you feel like in your heart that you have what it takes to continue to play at that level, whether it's the JV baseball team or the varsity baseball team, or is it professional college baseball, or whatever, that he knows that he feels like he still has something left in the tank, and by gosh, I'm going to go after it, because you know, 3 or 4 years down the road, you know, I can look back and say, what if I did this, what if I did that, and it's too late. So that's a great quality.
It's something that I would do anyway, but there's obviously a purpose to what I'm doing now, and that's to get back and be a good, great Major League Baseball player. it's not about just doing a set of 10 and moving on. You know, it's really about, you know, concentrating. You know, there are some parts, especially when you're having a bad day, you know, where it's just like anything else. Sometimes you go in the weight room and it isn't there. You know, it's just, you're like, oh man, today's gonna be a struggle. And so you do whatever you have to do mentally to motivate yourself. You know, you do have good days and bad days, but never discouraged. You know, everything is felt good throwing.
Brian really came to me about 5-6 years ago and needed a place to throw, so it was a good fit here. And from that point on, we've been pretty much doing the same routine every year. I get a lot of big league guys coming in here and using this as their winter workout facility. He'll come in and hit and do the things that he does, but he and I have probably been together the most, and it's been 5 or 6 years, I'm not really sure. He had that one year where he had that surgery, and he was making a comeback, and then he had another setback, and then that's where we are today. So he's had really 2 setbacks in those years.
Instead of going bullpen every other day, I would go bullpen, then I changed it. Bullpen beginning of the week, take a couple days off, have a nice long toss session, couple days or one day, and then a hard bullpen again. So instead of doing 3 times a week, just twice a week, beginning and end of the week, with a nice long toss in the middle. And the first time I did that, that next bullpen after the long toss was lights out. And that was a day where I knew I could get big leaguers out with my fastball and changeup. Whatever I had that day was good.
Pitch counts are increasing each week, and then he's got to increase his intensity. And with that, you know, he'll even get a better idea. So that's what we're doing right now.
That was a day where you're like, you know, I left there and was driving home thinking to myself, that was the day to have the scouts there, because that was a good day.
It just says more Indians lineup, and that's it.
It's a role that I like to serve, and I like to have fun, and I like to portray that, you know, to show that to people. And
My workout could have been done by now.
you know, and there's somewhat of an ego that's involved with being on TV. I mean, I think that goes without saying.
I'm gonna look like a big a fool anyway. I don't need to add to it.
You know, a lot of people are like, I don't want to be on camera, and I'm just more like, over here, I'm over here. You know, so.
Try your bump once while we're in flat.
More Indians lineup after this, but now, on to our next pop quiz. Gosh damn it.
I mean, I have no experience in the TV industry, none whatsoever. I basically walked off a mound and into a studio.
We'll see.
And they just made it very easy for me.
How in the world do I try to match this?
I don't know, brother.
I don't think I can. And you know what? It's a good thing I went red. That's pro.
I've never read out of a teleprompter.
You guys aren't going to do this like a conversation, then you're just going to actually look at your camera.
I think so, because to do it conversationally,
Yeah.
nothing memorized,
Yeah.
we're idiots. We look like idiots.
Okay.
You know, I just kind of lucked into this job. I mean, it was, you know, a situation where I, you know, came back after hurting my elbow the second time and having the surgery, and, you know, came back into town here, and, you know, SportsTime Ohio at that point still hadn't gone to 24-hour day programming, and they were looking to add programming, Indians programming, different things. And so I sat down with them and told them what I'd feel comfortable doing, and, you know, kind of how much time I'd like to put into it. And they said, they got back to me and said, great, let's do it.
I think my lips are too big for certain word combinations.
Jim Murphy was our guy that was producing, who just does an unbelievable job. You know, he came over from ESPN doing Baseball Tonight, and so he's got a lot of good ideas on how to break things down. Over the course of a season, when you're doing a show, it's real easy to get real, formulaic and boring, and, Jim is able to think outside the box a little bit and come up with some neat ideas that are interesting. Except we lose him during the season. In the off season we get him, lose him during the season because he's producing the pregame show for the Indians. But then Joe Raniak fills in for him, and it was a pretty seamless transition.
But after just a little time and a little comfort zone, when his comfort zone opened up, he knew which camera to look at. He was very pointed, started becoming very pointed in his conversation with the fan. So it's really, if you watch the show, he's talking to you. He's not talking to Al. He's talking to you, the person out there watching the show.
And he's one of the few managers in this game that has a true open door policy.
And he'll say something like, "Oh, I can't say that on TV." Like, yeah, you can. Go ahead, go for it. I mean, that's who you are.
Respect the game, be a man.
For egomaniacs, it's fun. No, I like being on TV because I like to have fun,
Aha!
I feel like I can be that guy up in the booth or doing the show that can have some fun and I'll call a spade, and I'll call it like I see it, but I'm not going to be gratuitous in my, pounding on a guy.
They're going to have to jam somehow into a 25-man roster, and that's without adding anybody.
I like the TV stuff. It's interesting. I don't know, I got to do enough this year that I've learned what I've liked and what I don't like.
We doing single?
I'm not a big fan of getting my picture taken. They ask you to do the most ridiculous non-baseball things.
I've never done this in the history of baseball.
I'm gonna tell you something, in all the years I've ever played, I've never seen guys sit on the bench and juggle. Why do I wanna take that picture? I'll tell you something else. This is the other one that's favorite. They always like for you to go sideways and hold your glove up here and then put the ball above it. Who does that?
Hey, the camera's full. Pop it out.
Snap your photo, let me move on down the line, and no, I'm not doing this, and I'm not going to juggle. I've already told you that I'm about to throw this microphone off. That's what I've learned about TV, is you shoot, and 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 you produce nothing. The guy ran out, his camera, the little memory card was full, couldn't find a new one. We were there forever taking pictures of me talking and pointing, and you put 2 in the opening. I saw them. You put 2 in the opening. In fact, one of them you split me right in half. What? I don't feel any pressure, I'm enjoying this, Now, not to say that, when we decide to set up the day that teams are gonna come in and that you're gonna be on display, yeah, that'll be like the night before game. That'll be wake up that next morning and, get yourself mentally ready to go. At the same time, remembering the best that you're gonna ever do in playing sports is to play loose. You can get intense all you want, but you've got to go out there and play loose and let it happen. You go out there tight and, and a lot of times instinctively it's not there. But up to this point, no, I've not felt the pressure. I'm anxious. I know that it's getting down to, hopefully in the next couple of weeks, I know, A, if I'm going somewhere, and B, where it's gonna, where the city that I'm gonna end up in. And so the team I'm gonna end up with, that's obviously the plan, and I feel like that where I'm at right now, that I should be able to do that, but you never know. You gotta impress somebody else. It's up to them.
The heart, the drive, the commitment, all those things. You can have a great arm, but you don't have that. I don't know if you have anything. When you're down, you got to fight, you got to battle, you got to do what it takes to get you back up and get you back on track. And he's had his share of setbacks, but he's not sitting around and making excuses and sulking, and he's got back on his feet. He says, I feel like I can pitch at the big league level, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do everything it takes to get myself ready to go And if it doesn't happen, here's my plan B. And I think his plan B is good too.
Nobody's been negative at all. Nobody. I mean, nobody. But everybody's been so supportive and so, hey, you know, it's your dream. You know that the clock's ticking. You know that you can still do it. And like I said, at the end of the day, I'm not going to be that sorry to see you go for a few months, so knock yourself out. I'm going to go out, give my best effort, let it all hang out, and if you like what you see, great, and if you don't, STO, I'll see you soon.
Oh, you're right. Well, that's good that they're sold out. See what I tell you? You got the marquee man in front of you, you sell out.
You need more guys like that. Go try.
Well, I think Brian has a good chance of coming back.
That was a yellow thing.
Nothing truer is being said tonight.
What's important, I think, for people to understand, and it's not something to be taken lightly. This is a big operation. It's a major operation. You're obviously never the same again. A lot of guys are better, but not everybody. You know, it's not a 100% guarantee that you're going to come back from such an operation. It's a big commitment on everybody's part.